No,
That was strange. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, June 4th, 2024. Time now is 7 p.m. I'd like to give the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, public comments. Very line, couple of public comments, okay. Correspondence. So we do have two items. First, we have a letter from the police commission. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but in short, it's talking about the problem with our animal control shelter over in Grassy Plain. It's basically a tear down. I think I mentioned in the last meeting, my first report, selectman report, that it didn't pass inspection again, and we have till December to fix it, supposedly. I mean, I think the bottom line is we're going to have to kind of look at what we're going to do to replace it. I've got the folks at Public Works taking a look at it and seeing what those numbers would be. So that is the first piece. Next, we have correspondence from a taxpayer to the tax collector's office. Of course, technically, this is about a public utility issue. Because of, when we did the meter MIU replacements, they had a pretty hefty increase in their fee. But Paul is working with this person, and I think we have it under control. Any questions with that one? Okay. I will say I don't actually have the whole letter here, and I'll produce it for you. We did get an email from an anonymous was the name. Objecting to the pride flag. Other than that, it's been fairly quiet, but I'll let you know if I hear anything else on that. So, for the record, we did get that email. That is it for correspondence. Anything else, Mary?
No, that was it.
Okay. I move that we approve the minutes for the Board of Selectmen regular meeting for May 21st, 2024. Second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll try to mind. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. For selected reports, so I'll just kind of throw out a few things. Number one, we basically, we finally have received the HVAC grant for the school, the big one. We did dig out in the minutes that from December 1st, 2022, that the Board of Selectmen did at that time give the ability for Dr. Carver, actually the Board of Education through Dr. Carver, to accept the grant. So we won't have to do anything. I just want to make sure that we had put this on the record that happened.
Do you have a dollar amount?
Yeah, actually it was. For the town side, it was $4,180,007. And the grant this time was going to be a 1.7 million. Was that the final number? What was the final number of the grant we got? We talked about that. Oh, here it is.
On the letter.
Just a quick question, is that what we were expecting?
Yes, we actually got more.
Okay.
Looking, I actually have the grant. So the and it's correct here. The project cost was $4,180,007, and the grant we received was actually $1,970,455.30. So we actually got more than what we had expected for that meeting. I have the actual paperwork here, but I'm not going to be signing it because the Board of Education already has permission. So I just want to make sure I read that in the first selectman report, because that came. One thing I just kind of want to throw out, it's our plan here in September is we're going to go to bi-weekly pay for the employees. Something we've been talking about for quite some time. A little controversial, but at the end of the day, it'll save us a lot of work in the payroll department. We're doing it right after a month where there's 5 pay periods. So this is, September, it's actually a good time to do it for folks. And it's early enough before the holidays that they can get used to doing bi-weekly pay. This also sets us up down the line if we're ever going to do, something like Paycom or ADP or something to actually run our payroll, which is, I think, in the future. with, going to paid time off and everything we do, we're looking for ways to track that better. So Brad and I have been talking about building that in the budget for quite some time. So I thought I'd just give you a heads up that will be coming. And, June is review month. I'm going through and doing all the reviews of the department heads. I guess, down the line, if we ever want to talk about that, we could sort of do executive session. If you guys have any information or questions or anything like that, I want to let you know that's kind of what's going on. And Brian, thanks last week for running the show. I had a great time in St. Kitts.
I made a couple proclamations when you weren't around.
Did you really?
Thursday was Mary Churchill Day.
Oh, good, good.
Right, Mary? That was my #1 proclamation of the week.
We were going to set you up with a couple, but didn't feel that.
Yeah, I filled in for Mary.
That's good.
I took care of Mary.
That's all. Really
We
matters.
let her go 5 minutes early that day. She was pretty
Nice.
happy.
So, outstanding. So that's really it for my report. Under unfinished business, I don't think right now we have on the agenda here, modifications to deferral assessment increase ordinance. That right now stands with the assessor. We sent it over to her for some final questions, so we're not going to be acting on that. So with that, I'll just give me a motion to table.
David.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're also going to wait on the dumpster ordinance. We're going to wait on all the ordinances right now because we do them all together. That's what we're going to do. So I'll table that. A motion to table the dumpster ordinance as well.
So we'll
Do a second. All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, table. Now, next up is,
Appointments to fill vacancies, boards and committees.
yeah, but you stuck the,
The sewage.
yeah, she put the sewer easement map before that. So what we're looking to do,
Can you introduce them?
yeah, would you, because I got to grab my motions here. I have them.
Okay. It's Chris Steiner here. This is we talked actually about this development a couple times before because there was a very dedication and there was pre-existing sewer easement. This, if you recall, this is new sewer structures being put in for the development there. So the applicant is looking for an easement for the town to get in and maintain those structures once they're installed. So, and we're doing this in 2 phases because they didn't have everything complete to proceed with the whole project. So this is phase 1 today. And there is a sewer map. I included it, I believe, in the materials today. You have a sewer map from yeah, they're not all that easy to read, honestly, when they're that small. So Chris has a bigger map.
All right.
Hey, Chris Steiner for the record with offices at 2 Park Lawn Drive, Bethel. Just to kind of give you an overview here, because the maps get a little tricky, where here's Benedict Road on here, and then the main entry drive is Fieldstone Court, and then there's like a T and L road here. We hooked into a existing sewer manhole, which was down around here. So just to kind of give you a little background, so that the map that we were just looking at, we hooked in. There's an existing sewer manhole that serves some of the Stony Hill, this neighborhood on this section here, and the sewer line goes from here down close to Michael's Tap Room and then brings it back to Route 6 Stony Hill Road. So we tapped in here, and what we did was we have installed all of the pipe basically up to the corner. The reason why we did that was because we haven't gotten all at that time we didn't get all the water in, and a lot of the other utilities aren't in. So we're kind of looking to do this in a phase. So this section here would be phase 1, because that would service all these houses. So right now it's like we have these 2 houses up, which are on the south side, and then we got foundations here. So I'm trying to build our way this way and then work our way right out. So that was the whole reasoning for phasing. And right now is that we got our final sewer inspection and pressure tests and vacuum tests on the line that's in. Chris McCullum was out there and we got everything signed off on that. So that was kind of the reasoning for the different phases, but we're here with you today here's the easement map, which is that same way for the dedication. So there's the corner. This is everything that we've installed. It's been inspected and approved.
Right, is this gonna be a private association or?
Yes,
So
correct.
it's gonna stay private, you're just looking for the town to have right of way to come and work on it. sewer.
Yeah, and for us to discharge.
Yep,
into the-
discharge.
Correct.
Yep, okay.
Any questions?
Little easier.
So I will say this, in the beginning of this motion, what we're going to do is we're gonna make a motion to do an A24 review by by P and Z. We've had some discussion with the town attorney that in the future, we may not have to if they've accepted the whole thing, but we're
And
just
I
not
checked
sure
on
yet.
that. I did, I actually was
And we-
able to check with her.
Oh, good.
And she said that they had not accepted, they had not reviewed and approved sewer easement maps, so we need to go ahead
Very
with
good.
referral at this point.
All right,
Yes.
glad that I have that brought it up. All right, so with that, I move we approve the sewer easement map for phase one, subject to the referral to Planning and Zoning Commission for a report under Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24, and further subject to the referral to the Public Utilities Commission for approval of the extension of the town sewer system on a private property as shown on the map presented, and satisfactory inspections and testing of the structure. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussions? Yes, sir.
Didn't you had approvals for all this before
We
through
had-
P and Z and,
we had-
and the
yeah.
sewer commission has given you approval for it. So why do we have to do a A2,
Well, we have to do an 824 because that,
A24?
yeah, the statute 8-24 basically says that anytime that you do an easement or conveying land like this, P and Z has to sign off on it. They have to give a favorable report.
They wouldn't have done that
Yeah.
already?
I
According-
checked with Beth to
according
ask whether she had
Yeah.
for that exact reason, and she said no.
But
That they
they,
had, that they knew that they were going to do that as part of their approvals, the site plan approval, but they didn't actually have the location of the easements
why
at
does,
that time.
why
to
does it have to
approve.
come back to public utilities if we already approved the allotment?
Because we have been going to public utilities and confirming before they grant the easement that they're all set with all the testing that's been done.
Okay,
So,
so it's not like we're granting, we already granted the allotment.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right. It's
Yeah.
more that now we're to the point where we're accepting the document and where the easement is and it's satisfactory for its purposes and the structures within have all been tested and are acceptable so that we want this to be part of our sewer system.
Right, but the A24 is asking permission to put the pipe in the ground and then for us to accept the pipe's already in the ground. They already had permission to put the pipe in the ground.
right, but they had the permission pipe in the ground, but we never accepted an easement over the top of it. And if you look at the way 824 is written, according to council, is that we have to have them do an actual report on it. But what's interesting enough, if they say no,
Yeah.
which
It's,
it can be done anyway
under
because of the
section
time.
4, locate or extend public utilities and terminals for water, sewerage, light, power, transit, and other purposes. Now, I would expect this would be perfunctory because they're familiar with this and they've seen a site plan and they're expecting that they're gonna connect to sewer and water, right? Or water, I'm sorry, sewer, anyway, in this case, sewer, water for you, sewer alone for you. But I did check with her and asked if they've gone through their approval process and whether it was necessary. And she said not if they haven't reviewed the sewer easement, the sewer, actual location of the sewer.
You know, I don't want to prolong it, but in other developments, did they get their approvals prior to? Because I never recall it coming back to the Board of Selectmen for approval after.
I don't know. I can check with her.
Well, it's just,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
if that's
just-
what, if
This
that's
is the
what we
first
need,
time
that's
that
what we have to
request for
have.
the
But
Easement is
it's-
coming before us and with the actual location and so forth. So I don't know how we could do it sooner. Unless, because they don't have their sewer maps until they have their sewer maps. So they're not going to have them at the time of their.
So there's
site plan review.
there's always a possibility it wasn't
Yeah.
done
Going-
correctly.
Because I still have to provide you guys the as-built
yeah, it's built.
of everything. So I'm still working now to
Right.
get the as-built. So now it's been approved and set because I could see maybe beforehand that things with site conditions, things change. So the P and Z's are approving the conceptual, but now we're before
Right.
you. And I'm still gonna have Zach Graff put together the
Right.
final as-built for,
I think Richie's just trying to make sure that we don't get into a situation where all of a sudden, conceptually, everything was great. And then you've spent millions of dollars putting your road in and laying your pipes, and then P and Z says, no.
Oh, no, wait, wait.
No, that's not what we were. So this has nothing to do with you or the merit of your application. It's just, I would hope that a lot of this would have been approved prior. On the outside chance, P and Z says, we don't really like it, then what does everyone do at that point? It becomes very litigious. I mean, we had that discussion about, P and Z should approve conceptually before it comes to us, don't, there's, or, at least speak to both sides in case there's gonna be an issue, so we work it out quickly before people spend tons of money developing plans and then have them change your plans, but it has nothing to do with it. This is just, this is just an in discussion.
It's just, we've always accepted them,
Yeah.
but I can't remember going back and having the 824 done on the properties, that's all. Maybe ask Mr. Olson, is that something that,
It's very normal for that to be the last step in the process.
okay,
There's a difference between zoning approval, sewer approval, and approval of the town to accept a conveyance of land. Those are-
What
those are
happens
three
if the
different
town
things.
says no?
Well, you have the right under 824 to make your own decision. 824 is a referral for a report.
Well, so the selectmen could
So if they
say,
reported back, no, you shouldn't take this, you could say, well, we're gonna,
but just
because it's your decision.
not, but what would happen if a board of selectmen, not saying us, looked at it and said, yeah, we're not accepting it?
I
Then
think
that,
we have to
that
have a
would,
good basis for that. I don't
Yeah.
think it can just be arbitrary and
Arbitrary.
capricious. We don't like you. That was the
Yeah.
suit you're wearing today. It's a
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
I think you'd have to be very foolish to
for,
do that.
for a
I
reason.
think you'd have to have a really good reason. And part of the condition of, we really honestly don't want to be granting easements if we don't know it's not been tested and inspected, and because we're taking over some responsibility by being part of it, part of our sewer system. So, we want to make sure they go through all these things. Present company excluded, these are great guys and we're doing the right thing, but that's not always been the case. Once they get the easement, that's what give you what you want, right? So. But I did check and say if I want to make sure I need to make a referral, I had a conversation with her today. Because if not, then I would just ask for a letter from my file that they have already done their due diligence and that they were set
All right,
with
thanks.
8-24. One
Thank
way or
you.
the other, I just need something from my file.
okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on the first motion? Okay, if everybody minds all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First motion carries. I have a second motion. I move to authorize Gamely E. Carter as first selectman of the town of Bethel to execute, subject to the town council review, the sewer easement agreement on behalf of the town of Bethel on the conditions of both the Planning and Zoning and the Public Utilities Commission report favorably regarding the requested sewer easement.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay,
Thank you.
Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, with respect to vacancies, as you see there, we have a list of vacancies. Unfortunately, we have had nothing from the town committee on who to put in those positions. So I got to go back and check the dates, but we are to the point where I believe the commissions can appoint their own. I don't know if they would like to do that. Well, certainly not with Rubino yet, I don't think. A public site, not so much. Certainly ethics commission could if they meet.
Public site must have been very recent.
Public site is very recent. It's like week before last. Yep.
Right.
I just got the letter. I don't have any, reasoning or anything like that. So with that said, we'll table, doing any appointments, but, again, I'm gonna talk to, the chairs of the party or the chair of the party rather, and see if we can't move this along, because at some point, I'm gonna advertise for folks to fill the seats. Because it's been a few months now and we haven't really heard back from it. So with that, I'll table the appointments to fill the vacancies. I'll move to table. Second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, consider table. I'd like to add something to new business. And we'll do it just before the consideration of 159 Greenwood Avenue. And put on consideration of appointment of attorneys Mario, Zabel, and Scheinenberg, which I'll give you that, Mary, after done, so you have the correct spelling, to represent the town in the town of Bethel and Bethel Board of Assessment Appeals. I guess I should say the first name is Erstop Biddle Properties Incorporated against Town of Bethel, Bethel Board of Assessment Appeals. That'll be added again right above the purchase of 159 Greenwood.
You'd like to make a motion to add?
Yeah, I'm making a motion to add that.
Okay.
So make sure it's clear when I moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll get back to that in a minute. Okay, first, new business here. We should be able to move fairly quickly on these. Okay. Consideration of, actually, I'll just say this. I move that we buy out the lease of the building inspector's car in an amount not to exceed $19,500. Second?
Second.
Okay, so if you check item D1, you'll see there that if we do 19,500, the amount right now we owe is 19,178. 19,500 covers any additional fees that we have. It's also worth noting that this reduces our 24-25 budget by $3,350. So the buyout makes a lot of sense. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll try your minds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's unanimous. Next up, consideration of the preliminary sewer and water map approval for 42 Plum Trees Road.
That's not ready to go.
It's not ready? Okay, so I'll move that we table that. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
It's reading.
Okay.
It'd be nicer if they provided us a map you could actually read. But I know,
That's my cue. That's my cue because I
Yes,
have maps to distribute.
So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and say, we're going to discuss the preliminary efforts towards the CLP easement map for utility easement over this property
And
42
this
Plum
is
Trees Road.
map that's been blown up. And this is just highlighted the proposed easement area. And this is the proposed easement.
Oh, you know, for all of us.
And this is, I came prepared. And this is really illegible. We knew that at the
Yeah.
time. So this is that made bigger and highlighting the easement area.
I'm assuming it's underground utilities. Does it
I don't know
specify?
what you said.
Do we know?
I don't-
Underground?
It's evergreen or
It's underground? Sorry.
I'm expecting there would be pools there, but
Soil-
I can
soil.
recall. seeing
Soil.
There are
that.
poles there, yeah. So they were taken off the pole. The ground.
Run underground. To service the development.
Yeah, so the development is at the corner of Whittlesey Drive and Plum Trees Road. It's a little further away from Whittlesey Drive than it used to be because Whittlesey Drive was relocated. You have, I think, file 24, map 190 from 2005 that shows a number of Eversource easements running through the educational park. The one labeled skilled easement, proposed easement B, essentially tracks the old location of Whittlesey Drive before it was relocated. And that's where we need to connect to. Ordinarily, when you connect power to a town road, you don't need any special easements. There are blanket easements in place that allow that to happen without a special easement. But Whittlesey Drive is somewhat of a unique case. It's apparently an accepted town road, but it is not set forth in its own right of way. It just runs along the educational park as a parcel of land, not as a road right of way. And unfortunately, the easement as shown on that file 24 map 190 runs several feet away from our property line. And I highlighted that in orange, and then there's a detail within a circle, blows it up a little bit. And you can just see there's a small gap there. So Eversource has taken the position that they need an easement for us to cross the town land to connect to the poles to provide power for the project. It's been I don't know, a headache-inducing process with Eversource to get to this point. So the ask is for the town to grant an easement to Eversource over the town land that will essentially just expand the existing easement a little bit. But that will meet up with our property line and therefore we'll be able to connect to it. The second map you have was prepared by Zach Rapp that shows the two proposed easement areas. One of them is on our property. That's CLMP proposed easement A. And then there's a small cross-hatched area, CLMP proposed easement B. We've had some discussions with CLMP. They may want us to remove the portion that's already covered by the existing easement from this easement map. So there'd be two pieces. Our surveyor disagrees with that because he doesn't think the existing easement is particularly well surveyed. So we'd rather have it covered. But so that's our request. They've asked me for a certificate of title, which means I'm going to have to do a title search on the town of Bethel. So 55 years in the educational part, which I'm trying as hard as I can to not have to do that.
So we will be adding a different map, we believe. This is probably going to be revised according to Eversource's request. This is not the final map, but it does show the location that he's talking about.
And so for the town to grant the easement, you have to refer it to the Planning and Zoning Commission under 824 for approval of, this is actually a grant of an easement on town land as opposed to receiving an easement. And by the time they send that back to you for your final action, we should have a final map and a final easement. I hope.
So the distinction that Peter's making here is that the other easements that we've been granting have been for us to go on, for the town to go on to private property to maintain sewer structures. In this case, it's a utility easement, and the town is granting the easement over its property because there's that sliver of land in between Whittlesey Drive and the property of the developer.
And this easement's only for the cross-hatched area.
Correct.
It's not because there's another easement that goes up here that says proposed easement.
That's
B.
already granted.
That's
But
already there.
I think on the file 24 map 190, that's referred to as CLD proposed easement B.
Yes.
But I think on the map that Zach prepared, that's pointing to the crosshatched area.
Right, but
It's
it
a little
also,
confusing. I'm gonna ask him to change.
yeah, because it
the-
also says approximate CLMP easement B.
Yeah.
And the crosshatch area is CLMP.
Yeah, it's a little
B.
confusing.
Just wanted to double check. Okay.
Points
Hey,
there.
Can you enlighten me again what you said about the road? That the road itself, it's not a town accepted road. It just is a road that goes,
It is a town accepted road.
okay.
And so, for example, when we did the field house
Yeah.
and we had to grant easements for construction purposes, those easements only had to go to Whittlesey Drive. They didn't have to go out to Judd because Whittlesey Drive is a town road. But it is not laid out in a right of way like you would see in a subdivision where somebody would set aside a 50-foot strip of land for a road
Mhm.
and then build a 26-foot wide road within that 50 feet, and the town would own the full 50 feet. So the town owns the land, but it's the educational part. 122 acres, and Whittlesey Drive is just over that land. That's not set aside in a separate right of way. And that's why CLMP took the position that because it's not its own right of way, the blanket easement it has doesn't cover it.
Okay.
The town being the owner, it makes it confusing. If it were owned by Bethel Educational Park, Inc., you could see the point. That the accepted town road is only the width of Whittlesey Drive, not the extra land that you would ordinarily see in the town road.
Okay.
I don't agree with that, by the way, but
Yeah.
That's, but you know, you're not gonna be able to convince them otherwise, I would take
Yeah.
a position.
At some
right?
point,
If you want your power,
Eversource is
you're
an
gonna have
immovable
to,
object.
Yeah.
you have to do
No,
it. You have to do.
I was curious because we actually talked about doing a possible like power project, doing a large what I call fuel cell project and running it down to the ridge. And the affordable housing, and all of a sudden they said, no, they couldn't cross the road. And I was like, well, if we need these in place, why couldn't they cross the road? So
Which are Whittlesey?
Whittlesey. Yeah, they couldn't.
So they're taking the same position. It's, they don't have easements to do that.
Yeah, and then I guess they won't cross the road for that. Okay. Anyway, further discussion.
Well, did they ever, they just put that big 800 kW line up the street in front of the Wilson Drive, so it puts the guy,
On that,
Easement.
24 map 190, you can see there's several easements. There's the sort of the Whittlesey Drive one that meanders.
Yeah.
And then there's some 150-foot wide high tension power line easements as well. There are actually 8 easements recorded in the land record at the same time. That refer to this map. So they were doing a lot at that time.
Any further discussion before I make the motion? All right. I move that we start the approval process with the preliminary utility easement map. Revisions are anticipated by Eversource and CLP by making a referral to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a report under Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24, and a referral for a report to the Public Works Director, Town Engineer. Additionally, to place this matter on the agenda for the next regular Board of Selectmen meeting when the easement map is in final form and the reports are available for further action.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to consideration of appointing counsel. So I move that we appoint the Mario Zabel and Schellenberg as our town attorney in the matter of Erstadt Vittle Properties Incorporated versus Town of Bethel and Bethel Board of Assessment Appeals. Do I have a second?
Second.
And one of the reasons we're picking this firm is, a lot of our stuff has been done by Bertha. In this case, they had a conflict of interest because I guess part of the firm represents this client. They recommended an attorney from this firm they've done work with before. And I've spoken with town council and we kind of feel that this is the way to go. So
What was this case about?
this case is a tax appeal.
Oh, thank you.
can you say what the address is?
I believe I can, right? Because it's all,
This is public information.
yeah, okay, just double checking. Yeah, so it's, hold on here. It's Grassy Plain, I can't remember.
Why don't we
It's
just,
279 Greenwood Avenue and 48 Grassy Plain Street, 2 parcels.
and we'll, an engagement letter and everything. This is subject
Oh.
to, that
Right.
they're available and the engagement letter
Yeah.
is acceptable.
And let me add that to the
Follow up
motion.
on that.
We add that to the motion, subject to receiving a acceptable engagement letter. Okay. So the second also for the.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any further questions about the text? And I'll certainly share this with you. Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, without train minds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And finally, we are up for consideration of the purchase of 159 Greenwood Avenue. So I move that we go into executive session, invite in Mary Churchill and our town attorney, Marilyn O'Brien. This is an executive session on the purchase, so we can't go through that. Before I do that, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No,
I just-
no, I just want to be here because I'm gonna come to one.
Oh, outstanding.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a second for going into executive session? All in favor of executive session?
Aye.
Aye. Motion
Thank you.
carries. Okay, we're in an executive session at 7:34 PM. You turn on the recording and I'll. Fair enough. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Stand adjourned at 7:52. Yeah, I'm just going to share those.